Thanks and welcome everybody. I'm really excited today to be talking with Eva Sadej. She's maybe one of the most intelligent people I've met in my entire life, and she's nice on top of it. So she's always got great ideas. I think there's going to be a lot of good ideas that'll come out of today. It is sponsored by Teledentistry. Virtual dental care is software for teledentistry. The model that we'll be talking about today is something that in many respects Teledentistry was created to support. So while I don't want this to be a commercial about Teledentistry, I want you to learn as much as you can from Eva. But nonetheless, it is something that supports the type of model that we're going to be talking about today. Eva's, as I say, brilliance helped turn lemons into lemonade during the COVID shutdown. She pivoted from a model of going into employer groups to deliver preventive and diagnostic services. And when the shutdown happened, obviously that stopped, but she was able to take the infrastructure and turn it into what's called MedBar now, moving from Floss Bar to MedBar, and actually doing COVID testing. And while I don't want to talk a lot about that, maybe you could start just talking about what that transition was like, Eva. And then we're going to talk about what I think is one of the more innovative programs around, and that is Eva being able to take and expand her model to others who want to deliver it and take advantage of the experience, the knowledge, and the capabilities of Floss Bar, which I guess is now being called MedBar in general. But once again, let me introduce you to Eva. And Eva, if you could just start talking about your background a little bit, and then maybe the background of MedBar or Floss Bar moving into MedBar.
Sure. So thank you for having me, Bill. Excited to be here and talk to you guys about my learnings, because Floss Bar and MedBar is not a competitor of the mobile dental industry. We're actually a collaborator. And so you'll see that we're a collaborator and enabler. So I'm so excited to share how that is. So my background is I was a commodities researcher. So I was studying oil markets, which has nothing to do with dentistry. That's perhaps how far off you can be from dentistry. So, but I come from a healthcare focused family. My brothers are doctors, my sister's a nurse. They're all married to doctors and nurses. So it was a common dinner table topic, healthcare in general. And what was missing from that topic is dentistry. And we all know that your mouth is a giant hole in your face, and toxins enter your body. And I don't have to teach you guys about the oral to systemic health connection. So I started Floss Bar in business school, where I had a list of ideas and talked to everyone about them. It was basically structured creativity, where I just kept listing ideas, seeing what I want as a consumer, and seeing how I can implement it. So I left business school I guess technically I'm on a sabbatical, but it's been a long sabbatical. So I started Floss Bar, and what happened was that we actually started doing a business model that we changed. And so we're a known pivoter. We've pivoted 4 times. So original Floss Bar is quite different. At the beginning, our first business model was actually working on evening and weekends in dental offices to utilize spare capacity and enable hygienists to essentially run their own show during that time with support of teledentistry from those dentists. We found out that our patient customer cost of acquisition was actually like $90, so it was eating the margins. So we pivoted to mobile dentistry, because when you're doing mobile dentistry, you don't have to do direct to consumer advertising. You're walking into what is a captive market with a single influencer, which is corporate HR. That was much more successful. We first got WeWork as a client and then used that brand name to get a lot of clients. And that's been fun. We spread to a lot of territories from East Coast to West Coast, doing that, raised capital, etc. Then came COVID. It hurt all of us, didn't it? So what we had to do was survive, because a lot of our accounts had what you call force majeure clauses, which means that they're able to bump their contract or cancel their contract if there's an act of God or government, which a pandemic is. So of course, we were doing nothing. So what we started was COVID testing. We were one of the first movers of COVID testing at the beginning because we researched like 60 vendors, got laboratory licensure, got a doctor group instead of a dental group, etc. And what we did was cross-utilize our existing staff that were hygienists and dentists to actually administer COVID tests under the supervision of our doctors. So you see that? They operated as technicians, essentially take your dental hat off, operate as a COVID testing technician, supervised by a lab director and by a doctor, so you're able to do it. That's been a phenomenal model that our legal team created and helped us do. So from there, we've been COVID testing and we're doing COVID vaccinations. Of course, not all of dentistry hygienists can do COVID vaccinations depending on state. And we're diversifying further into dental or doing dental, hearing, vision, biometrics, labs, mental health, biometrics and physicals, because we built 2 networks, dental and medical. Going forward, the other thing we do, not just mobile dentistry and mobile health, is actually enable offices to diversify too. MedBar has become essentially the minute clinic of dental offices and pharmacies, because why not? They're going out and then they're not doing healthcare stuff in their office because they're dentists. So we're embedding and sending out. I talked really fast. I hope that makes sense. Over to Bill.
Well, I really do want to explore this model of how you're expanding out. So the existing, or I should say, the old Floss Bar model or the last iteration of your old Floss Bar model was really sending out people that you had contracted with directly, and obviously you learned a lot of things in going to employer groups that most dentists wouldn't even vaguely know how to begin to do, or hygienists vaguely know how to begin to do. Obviously, anything from reaching agreements with employer groups, how to set up, how to talk with them, how to what would the workflow would be, and so on and so forth, that you guys became experts at. And so when you're talking about going forward and enabling and helping others, is that the model you're talking about? It's about enabling them to be able to take their existing resources, expand, and maybe even expand on the footprint of their bricks and mortar offices?
Yes, that's definitely something we're doing. And that's because, leveraging our experience and how much we care about scale, we're trying to get a ton of services to a ton of Americans, and the best distribution channel is their workplace. That's kind of the workplace is the new marketplace. And it's hard to get in there. It's hard to handle all of the functions that you need. And I actually wrote them down on my page. There's like 12 things you need to be successful. I'll read them off.
Please.
Logistics, moving stuff around, equipment to move around, materials to use, billing services, technology, of course, appointment scheduling in that technology, consent forms that are specific to mobile care, a support desk for patients to call, contracts to sign with all the counterparties, a sales arm that actually breaks down the doors, a marketing arm that makes them click. And then also when you're in the workplace, then you need to create graphic design and posters and do the internal customer marketing. So it's a lot for people to do. And so it's logical for what we are a mobile DSO and a mobile MSO, that's a doctor thing, geez. And so yeah, that's what we help with to enable people to go out.
So let me give an example that I had mentioned while we were getting ready, and that's that we worked with a dentist in Santa Monica, California, a couple of years back, and primarily it was because we wanted to help her use Teledentistry. But she did have an in with a large corporate entity that was not too far from her office, and had an in at the HR department. And so we worked with her. I think we called it a dental spa day or something like that. So where a hygienist was going to go into the office do the pop-up. And so we helped with the equipment. That wasn't something she had available. We helped with the agreement. That wasn't something that she was used to doing. We helped with all the marketing, as you said, and of course the technology is what we do. Long story short, an email went out at something like 3 p.m, a week and a half before the appointments were available. Within a half an hour, all 24 available appointments were filled, and I think there was a waiting list of another 14. So that dentist received almost 40 new patients. I think there were maybe 300 employees at that location. Got 40 new patients in a matter of a half an hour. I mean, what a marketing coup. She happened to, by the way, use the video conferencing capability to introduce herself to all of the patients, not to do the diagnosis on the spot, but to just to say, hi, I'm a couple blocks away. If you ever need to come to a dental office or have friends, just wanted to say, hi, I'm here. So what a great marketing opportunity that came from that. And as we've talked that up over time, again, everybody stops at what you just, at the points you just mentioned. It's like, well, I don't even know the first step. So, if I'm a dentist that would want to do something like that, what would I do? Do I contact you through the website? How would I get something like that going for me?
Yeah, for now, it would be contacting me or our support desk. So it's Eva, EVA at flossbar.com or support@flossbar.com, pretty easy to remember. And what we're launching shortly is actually an app called MedBar Market, which has opportunities for people to go on, sign up as local vendors or local vendors without equipment, and be able to pick up those gig opportunities that we have from corporate contracts at the specific dates and sign up to do work there. It also enables people to sign up their offices to embed that MedBar MSO diversification right into the office, from COVID testing and all the other stuff we do through that innovative double contract structure that I talked about. So there's a ton of opportunity there, and we've got a great CTO that designed all of that.
Great. So when you mentioned you're a DSO or MSO, that would imply then you have a master services agreement of some sort with the dentists that want to work with you, that they would agree to the things that you're going to do and the things that they're going to do. But what would that look like?
Oh, it's very long. So if you've ever seen DSO or MSO contracts, it's
Yep.
that with a mobile twist. So expect to read a lot. It's created by Dykema, so it's pretty legit and industry standard. Because they are my favorite law firm. They do not pay me to say this. I simply cheer them on. Yeah.
So that's again, I'm just trying to see what it would be that if I want to raise my hand and say, I want to do this, I'm just kind of thinking of what steps that dentist, or I guess even hygienist, would you be working with independent hygienists to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, so we pair them. So states vary in terms of requirements for on-site care. So states allow hygienists to either be independent completely of a dentist. They allow hygienists to work under a dentist doing teledentistry in the background with the patients or on a screen or asynchronously separately. And then there's states that require the dentist to go on site. And if so, they have to be on site. So there's various models where you're connecting dentists and hygienists who want to do mobile care. What we love is that one where the states where hygienists think that you can't actually do mobile care unless they become Colorado of independent dental hygiene. Those states in the middle of that, like New York and Massachusetts, no, you just have an MSO contract, or MedBar or Floss Bar has an MSO contract with the dental provider, and then the hygienist can work under the dental provider, and we operate as the DSO.
What other services do you do? Billing and so on also?
Yeah, it's the suite of the things I read off. We can, yeah, we do the suite of that.
Great. So again, I'm just thinking out loud. Bill wants to do this. Bill raises his hand, gets some contract stuff that I have to sign. And then what do I do? Sit around and wait, or your new app I can go to and check on gigs? Is that, and then once again, just say, oh yeah, I want to take that. How's that process work?
Yeah, sit around and wait for dental opportunities because those are slower right now due to everyone focused on COVID vaccinations and COVID tests and everything, and wanting less invasive procedures at the workplace, such as vision, for example. That being said, if you put on the role of the technician, take off dental hat, be technician for doctor, you're actually able to pick up gigs to get in there for vision and hearing services, and laboratory point of care testing, etc., because you kind of put on that hat. And so your way in could actually be healthcare. And then they'll know you're a dentist. They'll be like, oh, that's cool, it's a dentist. And so the sale to and conversion to dentistry is more likely. But when you touch a patient, you tell them you're down the street. It doesn't quite matter for the goal of a funnel to your office.
Got it. So getting the back, actually, it's a really interesting insight to start with the medical and go to the dental. But I'm going to go back to the dental here for a second. So I've agreed to do this. I mean, I want to do this. I'm excited to do this. You'll get a gig for me, to use the word, at some local employer group. So now what? I'm going back to some of the stuff you've already mentioned. So you're going to help me with somehow marketing my services to that employer group at some point in advance, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance that I'm going to be there. And then information is going to be sent out, and you'll help me with all the right wording to put in an email if it's going to be an email. You'll help me with the appointments. You'll help me with the equipment if I don't have any, if I marked it as without equipment. And I mean, walk me through the day of a dentist who's doing this for the first time.
Sure. So for all of that, we'd be co-branding. So it would be, whatever is your brand powered by MedBar, or MedBar powered by whatever your brand is. You kind of are indifferent as long as we're co-branding. So we'll make all those materials. We sell the corporate person. We then help fill up the calendar through the direct to customer marketing on site. So a dentist would be walking in to a full day of patients. That's our job, to patient acquisition. Sometimes you get unlucky, like you get lucky at what you're talking about, which is, suddenly everyone booked. Sometimes you have a pretty lazy HR, to say the least, and so they barely send out your email. Like they don't really walk around and jazz it up. And so a dentist might walk into very little patients, but still the corporate is guaranteeing a certain threshold of income that day. So you kind of will get less conversion to your office, but it's not like you'll be in the red.
Again, I think it's a wonderful model, a great marketing model, and a great way to get out into the community too, get your name known. Mm-hmm. Is there, it happened to be a technology company, the example that I gave in Santa Monica. Are there demographics that are more favorable to this, or is it just employees and employers like this to happen on site, and it doesn't matter the demographic or the type of employer?
So we primarily focus on industrial companies. Industrial companies have to be at work, and they usually have an older demographic, average in their 40s. So they're experiencing more dental problems, people out of work, time wasted, and are now being coached by their brokers about the oral to systemic health connection. So they're really in pain, especially if they're self-insured employers. Do you know what a self-insured employer is, Bill?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Yeah. But I will tell everyone. I was giving you an opportunity to tell everyone.
Well, yes, I since I spent a lifetime in the insurance world prior to getting into the technical world, I do know. Yeah, so it's people obviously that are either somehow using a service, but they're funding it themselves. and they're paying for the insurance costs for their employees themselves. Yeah.
That's right. So they're actually indifferent between using their insurance for the employees and paying directly for the services because it comes out of their pocket anyway. At the end of the day, all the insurance company is doing is administering their benefits in terms of processing claims, giving each patient a card, etc. But in the background, it's their bank account. So those who are self-insured, they actually own their risk of their population health. They haven't sold it off for monthly premiums to an insurance carrier. So those are the best kind of employers in terms of demand, but also in terms of logistics of serving them, because waiting for insurance claims is very painful. And so rather than have that wait time, I mean, you got to think about cash flow, right? You have equipment, you're going out, etc. You don't want to wait forever for money. So anyway, yes, industrials we love. And then oddly, luxury companies like watch companies and luxury apparel and non-luxury apparel is really coming back into the office. So we target those as well. And then senior living never left because they're not at an office, they're in their senior living. So that's a market that we're entering right now.
That's interesting. So we did talk briefly, and I'd just be interested in your thoughts about the fact that not every hygienist is comfortable being mobile, and not every hygienist in a dental office, if they're, especially if his or her schedules are full, they're not going to go out in a mobile situation. Do you help the dentists, or do you anticipate helping the dentists find hygienists that are willing to work with them in a mobile setting?
Yeah, it's not hard for them to also find them themselves too. But yeah, we help pair them if they don't have one. The recruiting effort is either through staffing agencies or just direct recruiting posting.
Yeah, and as you say, of course, it's regulatory issues around that. So, yeah, again, I love this model. I mean, I think it's a way. We've been seeing a lot of interest lately in mobile, just in general. As you say, you're not competing against them, but I think that there's a lot of interest in the industry, or at least word has that there's a lot of interest in the industry. I think because both dentists and hygienists have realized that with this shutdown, they have to figure out how, A, to diversify, and B, if this happens again, what do I do? Is there another means for me to make income rather than just sit down and wait? And I've just heard it around the industry in general, people who manufacture mobile equipment and so forth. It's just there's been a general pickup, and I think again, I just can't help but believe your service is going to take off as this goes. So I'm going to kind of wind down here and leave things for questions. Do you have any last thoughts?
Well, I see Sarah asking a lot of questions. We've worked with Sarah before. Our insurance life cycles have gotten better, Sarah. And so I think 2 years ago, we were waiting like 6 months. They have gotten better. And so just FYI, and I think her question was, do you help the independent hygienists to be able to work with a DDS? The answer is yes, where we either have a state level DDS in each state, lacking some states definitely. So please guys reach out and we would then pair them. So, and it's actually easier for us to have one or two versus work with every local one because then their time is more booked up and there's one person reviewing all the x-rays and stuff. So yeah, we definitely help with that.
And I should add in, and this is relatively new, since the technology is relatively new. Again, Teledentistry does bill electronically, and electronic claims turn around a whole lot faster than, and we're working with the different payers out there too, so that these kind of problems can go away, and they're sensitive to it. I think people downplay or pretend that the insurance companies are trying not to pay. That isn't the case. They'll pay according to the needs of the clients, and if they can get the claims easily enough and it's obvious what the claim is, and I think Teledentistry does support that incredibly well. So, Daniel, any other questions that came up that either Eva or I can address?
Yeah, there was this other one in here about do you help independent RDHs with COVID agreement contracting and then finding the location and then the vaccination supplies?
Yeah, that's actually what I'm most excited about, and that's the fourth version of Floss Bar, and I should just call it Med Bar because it is just Med Bar. But you guys remember Floss Bar, so I'm just going to say Med Bar. Bar is bar. Um, the main thing that's an innovation there is having those hygienists work under the supervision of a doctor and a lab director. That's not a thing right now. You guys think about it, like COVID testing by hygienists and dentists has been a thing that, again, you're waiting for from a regulatory perspective. There's no need to wait if a hygienist or dentist can put on that technician hat and be able to do it as well. That's for testing. And then vaccines, I think it's sparse. We don't really use hygienists for vaccination services because I actually don't even know a state where we can. I haven't done the research, just have defaulted to nurses.
Great. We have another one in here. Do you handle the credentialing for dentist hygienists if the employer group is insured by an insurance company?
Yes.
And then another one here I got about an independent hygienist or one who wants to become an independent hygienist. Who's never done mobile or any type of on-site treatment before. Do you offer training? Is it easy to get into? How does that all look if I've never done it before?
We do offer training because we want you to be in our marketplace. So we want you to pick up those gigs. And so we're happy to train you. We've got online, for anybody who signs up with us, you have to go through the online training videos and the exam. So by default, you get trained even if you are trained because there's certain ways that we do things, certain ways that we recommend making patients comfortable, or rather our dentists recommend. We kind of did a lot of work in groups. So anybody would get trained or retrained or extra trained.
I see somebody says that an RDH in Colorado can administer the vaccine. So there's one state for us.
Well, I just would like to take this opportunity to see if anybody else has any more questions to ask. It's an open forum, so please feel free to type them in.
I am going to talk for a few seconds about Teledentix and how it does support this model and how that it differs from traditional practice management software and why that's important. The delivery of care in a mobile situation just isn't the same as delivery of care in the bricks and mortar. And that's the 50,000 foot level view of it. And workflows need to be set up differently. And patient management needs to be set up differently. Records management needs to be set up differently. And so really in the founding of our company, we founded the Virtual Dental Care is the parent company. We founded it with the intent of supporting mobile dentistry really out to the underserved. I mean, the product offering has gotten much larger and a lot of other people are using it for a lot of other reasons. But that first thing we realized was this workflow was extremely important. So again, we designed it that way and its capabilities kept growing and growing and growing. And so from that, the first question very often becomes, okay, so if I'm a dentist and I'm using Dentrix or whatever in my office and I want to work with this mobile situation, can I use Dentrix going out? Well, I can say pretty easily no. And there's no way that you're going to be scalable. There's no way records management is going to work. There's no way that reporting is going to be is going to make any sense. It probably makes sense for billing and billing only, but that's about the only thing. We can do billing through Teledentix, but we don't intend to replace practice management software. We actually want to supplement practice management software with something that would meet the needs of this particular usage of teledentistry. So we do integrate in certain capability with certain practice management systems, I should say, for certain aspects of it. Your video isn't going to integrate with, if you do a video conference, it's not going to integrate with your practice management system and store it in the practice management system. If you do chats with patients afterwards, if you do communications with patients afterwards, this is all automated within Teledentix. It's one big, huge communication package. It's maybe the best way to describe what Teledentix is. And obviously, we've got the capabilities of managing workflow out in the field too. So really from the standpoint of technology, you really do need a different software than a bricks and mortar software. Of course, anybody can make anything work, but you might as well be using paper and pencil or paper charts if you're going to go out. And we do have a way of dealing with that. So.
Yeah, I was waving because I really wanted to say something on that one. When you've got an easy user interface that's specifically geared for mobile health, it's much easier to have the patient efficiently put in their insurance info, because a lot of the gaps are just dummy info. When it comes to billing, it's the insurance companies don't not want to pay for preventative care. That gets approved pretty much, but if you've got garbage data and patients who were going through it too long, got confused, etc. And then in mobile care, like you're so busy with mobile care, you didn't have them sit down and finish their profile, etc. Like if it's user friendly, the billing aspects become much easier. And insurance companies are one of the largest promoters of mobile healthcare. You think about it. I was saying that employers, want to pay directly. Those are the self-insured employers. But when you think about fully insured employers, they want to go through their insurance carrier, and the insurance carrier wants to win the bid for their business. So if they are able to connect with mobile care providers and bring value on site, they'll literally book you for their accounts, which is fantastic. Don't have to do everything else, but you don't have to do the sales portion of it to get in the door, and then to make the insurance companies happy and you having them look good, which is your primary role if you're working for them. To be very clear, you need to make sure you're processing claims exactly, because the reasons that patients don't go to the dentist are fear, time, and price. And so you want to, at the workplace and for the carrier, optimize reducing fear, reducing time, and making price amenative so they don't get that balance bill.
Another important part of the technology too is really the patient-facing stuff. So if you're going to an employer group, and again, I'll compare it to in-office software, but there needs to be a page that says company XYZ is offering this service. Sign up here. Well, no bricks and mortar office has the capabilities of setting up that type of landing page, if you will, or microsites as we call them, that says company XYZ. Here are the services that you have available to you. You can have x-rays, you can have cleanings, you can have x-rays and cleanings, you can have exams, and maybe some of those, preventive, if there's insurance coverage, or if it's self-insured and they're covering for everything, that's easy, but maybe there's going to be co-payments. So you have to have ways of collecting co-payments, or if it's not covered. This has all got to be built into the software. You need to have ways to communicate with the patient afterwards in a secure manner. So you're gathering the records, and the dentist perhaps is going to review them remotely, again, depending on the regulatory situation. And the patient has to hear back. How do you do that? How do you share those records? How do you share the information? It has to be done in a HIPAA secure setting. So the software has to be able to do all that too. And once again, you're not going to get that from bricks and mortar software. And the ongoing communication, you're probably going to go back there more than once. So how do you keep communicating with them? How do you share information, maybe educational information? That's all got to be done through teledentistry technology. And I don't just mean video now. I'm talking about any other telecommunication capability that needs to be done in a secure setting. So these are the things, and forms is another important one. You mentioned that early on. And forms can vary. I mean, vary by state. In some cases, we have clients that go to schools, senior homes, and like you said, that the types of forms that they need might vary literally by patient, not just by location that they're at. So you need to have software that has forms that can be, which we do. It's in Teledentistry. There's a form writer so that we can create forms literally down to the patient. So if you're going into a senior home and you're doing SDF on a senior and you need a consent for just that particular service, we've got that built into Teledentistry. You don't have to do that. Again, bricks and mortar software, again, runs dental offices fine, but, and I'm not putting it down. All I'm saying is for this situation, you just have to be much more flexible for the ability to the place that you're going in. And again, things that you need to look for in software. So anyway.
Well, we got a few more that came in here.
Great.
So, this starting with this first one, a simple question. I'm in New Mexico. Are your services available for this state?
Yes, they're available. We don't currently have any gigs in that state because we're focusing on rebuilding dental post-pandemic in the East Coast. But you can get on the marketplace, wait for those opportunities, and then also participate in the Minute Clinic style program, which is having diversified things at your office in general, because we've got physician coverage over there and lab coverage over there. So there's a way to participate in the interim as you wait for those gigs.
Awesome. And I just wanted to take this time to reiterate that the email that will be going out with the recording, I'll also be including Eva's information. So you can just click right from that email to reach out and get signed up and talk about this a little bit more. Okay, another question here is the concept for the dentist to provide the treatment plan services on-site or back in their office via teledentistry?
Yeah, so it varies. And what we like to do is come back after the first day for deep cleanings and basic restorative care, and then get the dentist over there because we'll know from the first appointment what the patients need. But by and large, we just send the patients over to the local dental office. And sometimes the dental provider's too far, so we'll have to refer them somewhere else. So we kind of handle it by situation and corporate contract, really lead the way of like, okay, where do you want the care in terms of what the corporate HR wants. Got it.
Okay, another one here is compliments and great info as always from you. Questions for both of you, Bill and Eva. Do you think teledentistry and mobile dentistry will just be one instead of being referred to as, two separate things?
I'll take it first. Eva, I think all of dentistry is going to include teledentistry at some point. So I do think, in what capacity, I don't know. The simple and if we look 5 years out, I don't think you'll be able to separate the two. So teledentistry, again, to me, to reiterate what I said before, goes well beyond just video conferencing or even the asynchronous review of records remotely. Yeah, that's there and that's there now, and that's a little bit different from some entities that go out with vans or tractor trailers that deliver full-blown dentistry on site. But they'll all include teledentistry at some point. Patients are going to want to communicate. Patients are going to demand to communicate in different ways than just face-to-face or over the telephone. And that could be chat, and that could be email, and that could be videos that are recorded. It could be video. Any type of telecommunication is going to have to be included into dentistry in general. So I think it's going to have to be included into mobile. But right now you can separate the two because literally there's people going out, they're not doing any other communications other than maybe the simplest of stuff to get them in. And right now that's sort of the differentiation. But what are your thoughts, Eva?
So I want to define teledentistry as synchronous or asynchronous. So there's having the dentist on the screen and then having the dentist follow up afterwards and read the notes, or at least read the notes and all that kind of stuff. Both of those are important simply because of the financial incentives and then also from the regulatory landscape. So if you're going out to serve a corporation, the first thing you're doing is preventative care. You can't take the dentist who's the primary breadwinner in his office to go do preventative care. There's just not enough income to compensate that person well and still fit in all of the crazy other things you need around it. And so hygienists are really the prime force that will need to go out. and have the dentist just do the telehealth or the teledentistry, asynchronous and synchronous aspects. That's the only way to really scale it, and ensure that the pie is well allocated. So I think by necessity and then by moving regulation, it's just gonna happen. There's some states that'll put their foot down and be like dentist on site, like I think Texas, and yeah, yes, I think it's going to become the same thing.
Got it. Question here about teledentics. How secure is your system regarding patient privacy information?
You know, that's a simple one. We of course are HIPAA compliant and in all the ways that entities need to be, but we go beyond that. We also have high trust certification. We have something called SOC 2. We have we've done penetration testing on an ongoing basis where companies come in and they try to hack you every possible way, and we've taken all the precautions to take care of that. We have customers that are large insurance companies. We have customers that are university, you know, the UC system. They go through extensive testing before they for data security before they do contracts. So rest assured that we're about as secure as any dental organization can be.
So this next question is about equipment rented if you don't have it with the MedBar Floss Bar model. So is the equipment rented to the hygienist? What happens to the equipment maintenance, and how does the hygienist pick it up and return it?
Yeah, so pure logistics question. The equipment is rented either to the dentist or the hygienist formally. Depends on whether the state partner needs to rent it or the hygienist can rent it. It's just different state regulations of who we can technically rent it to, which we had to research. But anyway, the equipment is either in a supply depot nearby where you'll get the code to go get it and bring it back, or it's mailed to you if there's no supply depot, and so it varies by that factor. And oh, maintenance, yes. So we're responsible for maintenance. The hygienist is responsible for running the water lines, though at the end of the event. That's important because that's like a recurring maintenance versus an it's broken maintenance.
And then here's one for you, Eva. What was your biggest obstacle and how did you overcome it when you were first starting out?
That's a deep one because I don't like doing cliche answers. I think over trusting business partners is definitely a thing I stumbled upon. Had a lot of senior people at the business that are no longer here because we didn't get along and all this kind of stuff. So it's really the typical startup journey that was difficult versus the specific industry sector. So I think to succeed, you need a combination of hard skills like doing finance and understanding procedures. You need soft skills to lead people, and then you need tough skills to be tough in terms of what you need from others, work through different conflicts and disagreements. And so I think my tough skills, what I need, what I demand, hard conversations has really grown, and that's really an important skill set to overcome general business things.